These bandwagoners, they make me sick. This is RamView.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the December 9th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Benched the app. Don't take a zero. Don't get a goose egg because you left a non-starting player in your fantasy lineup. Download Bench the app today and make that a thing of the past. All right, let's be perfectly clear about yesterday's game. You guys go over all the details of the game. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, but I'm not going to re-break down every score and everything. But I have to say, I was in an ongoing conversation with a few friends. One of the worst games I've ever seen in my life, right? It was just awful. I couldn't stand it because I stood the whole time. I came into yesterday's game thinking it's not going to happen. And then, of course, it started to happen. And then I started to believe, and I was miserable for 3.5 hours, right? What a nightmare. But what a great road victory for the Rams, huh? What a great road victory. This is a game that you look back on later on. You say, oh, yeah, that was a great game. But this isn't the kind of game I want to see. I wanted to see a game that ended 45-21, right? 38-14, and the Bills just rolling over and dying. But, of course, Josh Allen had other ideas. But my sarcasm aside there, the Rams were amazing, right? They did a great job. And, again, we're looking at that crowd. Like, what a great road victory. Give credit to the Bills Mafia, and it kind of tips you off about what the Rams are up against and something Kroenke and Demoff and maybe McSneed need to think about in who they cater to, in who they are trying to reach, and don't let it be the elite snobs who don't know a darn thing about football, who don't care, but gear this towards your fans. You have to gear this towards the average real fan that comes because you don't have them right now. You don't have them. I'm wondering if you could, if you were just going to sell out SoFi with just actual Ram fans, if that's even possible around here because of prices and just because you're away for 20 years. But credit to Bills Mafia on that. But that was a great road win for the Rams. As I'm watching the crowd cheer and all that stuff go on, I'm thinking, man, this is a road game. If Buffalo wanted to know what it was like to play in a covered stadium, they got that experience yesterday. But another thing, before we break down some of the parts of the game, what makes Sean McVay great was, did you see his presser afterwards? He was real quick to the point, and then he turned attention right away to San Francisco on Thursday night. This falls all apart. This means nothing and is given away if the Rams fall on their face against the 49ers. Of course, we were rooting for the Bears. I think if the Bears had beaten the 49ers, then the 49ers, all of the 49ers' hopes would have gone away. They still have hope now that they've got to win. They're 6-7. The Cardinals are struggling. So there is some hope there. If the 49ers can knock off the Rams, string together a couple wins, there's a possibility, right? But make no mistake about it, the playoffs, whether the Rams had beat Buffalo or lost to Buffalo, the playoffs start right now. This is a playoff game on Thursday. So Frisco's going to play it like a playoff game, and I think the Rams better be thinking that way too. The offensive line needs to come out the way it came out yesterday. And there's no reason the Rams shouldn't win this game. This is not Buffalo they're playing on Thursday. They're playing a team that's down to their fourth running back. Isaac Guerrero got hurt yesterday, and he's day-to-day. Trent Williams isn't playing, or he hasn't played for a couple weeks now. We don't know what his status is for Thursday. Aaron Banks, their left guard, has been out in concussion protocol. Their backup for him, he got hurt. There's a lot of stuff there. They lost John Feliciano about a month ago at right guard. They've got issues. They've got issues there. They don't have weapons. and or a lot of weapons. And this is an opportunity. And I think the defense is going to play better. Okay, some more of this Rams stuff here. Let's just cut right to the chase here. 4th and 5, game on the line. I'm pacing around the RamCave, and there's just part of me that's thinking, go for it. Just go for it. Just go for it, because a field goal, even if it goes through at this point in the game, it was Josh Allen's world, and we were all just living in it. And that's not the Rams' defense fault necessarily. It's how good Josh Allen is. And I just didn't want them to get the ball back, period. And McVay, from our thoughts to McVay's brain, they go for it. Great call. Great decision to go for it. I was going to live and die with that decision. And who does Stafford go to? Stafford goes to Tutu Atwell. Now, we know Kupp and Nakua were probably being blanketed, but it just shows the trust and how much Stafford believes in Atwell. And I think many in the KBM, the Kiss Butt media that cover the Rams, they need to start issuing apologies to Tutu Atwell. Atwell has been an automatic 17 to 20-yard gain. Stafford does the half rollout, and boom, there's Atwell. They've gotten that pass for the last 4 weeks. It's just been there consistently. And when the game's on the line, who does he go to? He goes to Atwell, right? So I'm tired of hearing everything about he's a bust, he's not this. No, right now we're looking at Atwell playing, and right now it's all about McVay trying to find spots for Atwell. And yes, that was a marvelous call, marvelous play. Offensive line on that play. Did you see the time that Stafford had on that play? It was amazing, right? Okay, another thing, I was kind of sick. I was sick of the belaboring of Havenstein jumping on that pass. I think that was the pass. He got back in his stance a little quick, and they made such a big deal out of it, right? I'm hearing about it everywhere. And I think, should we just add up the royal rogering the Rams got from the officials yesterday on the Byron Young roughing call, on the Jared Verse horse collar call that led directly to Buffalo touchdowns? Should we add the phantom pass interference call in the end zone at the end on Darius Williams? And can we add the horrendous offensive pass interference call on Demarcus Robinson? Someone should be fired for that or put on suspension for the rest of the year. And honestly, McVay needs to talk to some of his boys that are fellow coaches. And some of them, I don't care what the NFL rules are. These guys need to accept the fines and come out and blast the officials, because no one challenges them from the inside. It's the fans on the outside, and if they've got perfect immunity. But sooner or later, the coaches have to come out and say, this is a jackwagon call by an incompetent individual. And it's incompetent at the NFL's end, because now they have the replay assist and the rapid replay. You can go in there and correct that. That was just egregious. It was awful. And someone, I know they'd get fined for it, but you know what? If they all start doing it, someone has to call these guys out and say, you are a lousy official. Hey, I'm not asking anybody to do what I didn't do myself. Played in a basketball league when I was younger, walked up to the officials after the game, and I said, with all due respect, you did a horrible job. White Hat looks at me and says, do you want to play ball next year? And I said, no, I don't. He goes, okay, you're suspended next year. And he says, what's your name? And I said, Calvin Daniels. I didn't tell him my name. Someone else gave him my name. But I got suspended for telling for a whole year because I told some refs they suck. And at some point, someone needs to do something, because without accountability, they're just going to keep going on. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, I buried the lead. Part of burying this lead here is I took the Bills and don't deserve a victory lap. I admit, I don't deserve a victory lap, okay? Because I took the Bills. But, and it's no revelation, I did say this on Friday's show, very in my wishy-washy way. I did say, if the Rams could run the ball, which I said was possible against the Bills, you never know, because you don't know what offensive line is going to show up. I said, if they can run the ball, if Stafford could stay upright, we have a shot. And boom, we had a shot. Everything went well. The Rams ran the ball so well yesterday that Buffalo never really stopped the run until they had to commit extra personnel up front in the box. And then that's what opened things up for Stafford even more. And then by and large, for the most part, they kept that pocket clean for Stafford. 0 sacks, 3 hits, 6 hurries. By contrast, no sacks on Josh Allen, 1 hit, but 14 hurries. Now, unfortunately, those translated into some long runs, but that's on the defensive side of the ball. Credit to the offensive line. They were fantastic. And Tom Brady not only nailed it on the Bills' questionable timeout at the goal line, but Brady was wonderful yesterday in pointing out the exceptional job and all the dirty work and the blocking the Rams receivers do, especially Cooper Kupp, right? You need someone like Brady to keep pointing that out. Again, I'll come back and say, yeah, Kupp still looks old, but it doesn't mean he's done. It doesn't mean he's done. And the catch off his thigh in the end zone, I couldn't believe that pass. I just couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and he's thrown into double coverage, but is that a risk when you're throwing to Cooper Kupp? It was absolutely amazing. And Kupp, of course, made the play. And of course, my feeling is if the Rams want to build a statue to Puka Nacua today, figuratively, I'll chip in, right? You know, I'll be a fetch boy. I'll fetch the artist some coffee or whatever. The catch and the toe tap on the sideline, unbelievable. Now, Stafford threw a great pass because only Nacua was going to catch it. But have you seen that? Going up that high, getting those toes down. I mean, whoa, right? Somebody in the scouting department needs to make sure that they get a bonus for making sure that Nacua was drafted in the 5th round. Everybody passed on him 5 times, right? Or 4.5 times. And then Eric Yarber. Is it Yarber or Yarborough? I think it's Yarber, the wide receivers coach. There's got to be so much going into that because you just don't see that. Basically, the Rams got Cooper Kupp again. They got Cooper in the 3rd round of the 2017 draft, and they got him again in the 5th round of the 2023 draft. Absolutely unbelievable. Red zone. This is the red zone play we wanted to see all year. Thank goodness there was no fades. The offensive line was getting pushed, and they pushed and they converted in the red zone, and they kept it on the ground when they needed to. They pushed that ball, and they didn't back off from that. That was a beautiful thing. Of course, I saw one guy say we got a kicking problem because Cardi missed the extra point, but we all know that was a fumbled snap. Staying on special teams, of course, the block punt was marvelous. Jake Hummel, Hunter Long getting it. That was marvelous. There's the Bones Fossils days that you see a great play on special teams for the Rams. And of course, this might have been the best play, was Ethan Evans' final punt, which was an absolute masterpiece, that he kicked it just high enough, just long enough to when everything came down, there was no time left on the clock. I mean, I was sweating out 7 seconds. My feeling was give the ball to Kyron Williams, have him run the opposite way until the clock runs out, and then have him fall down. I mean, I was so fearful because you didn't want that ball going back in the hands of Josh Allen, Josh Allen's Josh Allen, right? I was pretty sold on Saquon Barkley as MVP, but I would go Josh Allen. I think it's between those two. I know some people are trying to know Sam Darnold in there, and you got you always got to give Lamar Jackson votes, but I would go probably with those two guys. I get it if either one of those guys got it. I understand it. They ought to go Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell like they did in '79 in the National League, have them share the MVP. But Josh Allen's on another level. In fact, if it's not the Rams this year, we're always going to root for the Rams. If it's not the Rams, I'd be happy with either Josh Allen winning it or Dan Campbell in Detroit. That would I just like to see because they infuriate KBM, right? And there's so many people now that are pro Josh Allen that were anti Josh Allen before. Anyway, okay, offensive line, no sacks, 3 hits, 6 hurries, but 3 of those hurries were on the edge from Von Miller. Okay, no problem there. There's no issue there. But PFF had to find a way to ding Steve Avila in pass protection. They gave him a poor grade in pass protection, and I'm trying to figure out, was it the holding call? Why would you give Steve Avila a poor grade in pass protection? Again, another reason to be a little sus on PFF. But this was the best performance of the offensive line all season. This is what we were waiting for, right? This is what we wanted so badly. Imagine where we'd be if this is what Stafford had to deal with most of the season. And it seems each week, Alaric Jackson, who was outstanding yesterday, he puts a little more on his side of the table when it comes to offseason contract negotiations. That initial 2-game suspension at the start of the year that loomed so big then is less of a deal now, right? And Alaric Jackson's making money right now. And if the Rams don't pay him, somebody else is. And I think the Rams are going to have to pay him. I don't know. I don't know if they could put a tender on him. I don't think they can anymore. They're just going to have to pay him. And hey, that's okay. You got him for free so far. You developed him. He knows the offense. You got to keep him, right? You got to find a way. Alaric Jackson was excellent yesterday. Steve Avila, they said he was great in the run game, terrible in the pass game. Bo Limmer got an excellent grade, and we talked about Bo Limmer being a big deal, and Bo Limmer was a big deal yesterday. Did you see him getting push on those running plays? He was fantastic. Kevin Dotson is the Kevin Dotson of 2023, and Havenstein came back and had a great game. And maybe a few of these games that Havenstein's missed, if he's healthy, keeps him fresh for this last month of the season as the playoffs start on Thursday, right? By contrast, the Rams had no sacks on defense and only 1 hit, but they did get 14 hurries against a very good offensive line, right? I wasn't thrilled with the secondary, but then again, did you see the throws that Allen was making? I mean, it was like right by the ear, you know. I don't know how Cam Curl didn't pick off that long pass to Khalil Shakir down by the goal line. I thought he had it. I thought he picked it off. I don't know how he missed that, but there were just other plays. You're just looking at it and you're going, how did Allen do that? And it was kind of another rough day for Darius Williams. Darius Williams played as many snaps as anybody yesterday. He played 58 out of, I think, 60 snaps. And that's a lot. That's a lot. He's outlogging a lot of snaps. And so something to keep an eye on going forward. Hopefully, with Kobe Durant has a lung contusion. That came out today. Killer Witherspoon played some snaps. Hopefully, maybe Emmanuel Forbes can get up to speed, and we'll find out where we're at with him. But defensively, Allen made throws no other quarterback than Mahomes and Stafford could have made, right? You know, and every time I got mad about a missed tackle on Allen, and there were plenty, I think the Rams total had 10 to 11 missed tackles. I'm looking at these guys, they wrap them up around the legs, and you forget that Allen is 6'6", 240. And by the time the defenders are getting to him when he's scrambling and running the ball forward, he's a locomotive, right? It's like trying to tackle Derrick Henry. So other names outside of Byron Young, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner was great yesterday. Christian Roseboom had another productive game, which was another thing that was great to see. Omar Spates got exposed a little bit, but it looked like rookie exposure. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I'm still learning the NFL game. I don't think it has anything to do with his skill level or his talent level. And his skill level will grow. He's got the talent, but it didn't bother me too much. What was really encouraging was James Cook only rushed for 20 yards. He only had 6 carries, and that was it. They abandoned the run game pretty quick there, the Bills did. And of course, the offense did the defense the proverbial favor, right? Get the run game going, keep Stafford upright, right? And help your defense by keeping your offense on the field. Time of possession, 38 minutes and 30 seconds for the Rams, 21 minutes, 30 seconds for Buffalo. And Buffalo's touchdowns, a couple of those touchdowns were really quick scores. So, our defense was only on the field for 21 minutes. Now, the team the Rams beat yesterday, that's a Super Bowl team. That's a Super Bowl team, right? You know, the points they were giving up to were they were giving up to a Hall of Fame level quarterback, right? This win, this is the win we all thought the Rams were capable of heading into the season. We all thought they were capable of this heading into the season, and not necessarily against Buffalo, but this is where they would play all year. Now that everyone's kind of together, got out of this game fairly healthy, we're kind of seeing what we expected in September, and credit to McVay, and something to keep an eye on and going forward. Now, We didn't think the Rams, we said at the beginning of the year, Rams were probably, they deserve to be in a conference final. That's what we thought. We thought the 49ers would take a step back. I thought they'd be a playoff team. And we didn't think much of Seattle and Arizona. We didn't think as much of Minnesota. We knew Green Bay was good. We knew Detroit was going to be good. And we were a little suspect on Philly. And we thought, the Rams have a shot here. We really thought they had a shot. I still don't think necessarily they're a Super Bowl team. Could they go on a run? Are they that team that nobody wants to play? I think so. If they string together 2 or 3 more wins here, they are going to be that team that nobody wants to play in the first round of the playoffs. And here's the funny part. When we're all talking about what we thought the Rams would be when it's August, right? I said my high end was 13-4, and I think Mr. Burns and a few of you guys agreed with that. And we said low in 11-6. Well, now that they got the win that no one expected against Buffalo, the Rams are 7-6, and on the table in front of them, if they don't swallow the jalapeno, Frisco, the Jets, Cards, Seahawks, all winnable games, not all easy games, but winnable games, and the Rams could possibly still finish 11-6. That just blows me away after everything that's happened this year. All right, let's see here. Oh wow, guys, I'm sorry you guys all clicked in and I didn't look at these questions yet. Thank you guys for clicking on here. Let's see, Bill, can the Rams beat the Eagles or Lions? Yeah, I think so. I don't think the defense is a problem here. That was Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was at another level, absolutely another level. Lamar Jackson, who can throw, right? Who can actually pass the ball? Bill, Seahawks playing the Packers and Minnesota next 2 weeks. Big opportunity for the Rams. Absolutely a big opportunity. That's why this momentum right now, this unexpected win against Buffalo, cannot be squandered. Michael Negretti, hola, Pastor Joe. I'm sure you picked the wrong team to win. Go Rams. I did. I'm owning it, man. I picked against the Rams. Maybe you guys want me to do that over and over again. I will. Tim Burns, best regular season game since Goff versus the Chiefs. Did you enjoy it, Mr. Burns? Because I didn't enjoy it. I'm walking around the office here, and I thought my hair was going to turn black again, the opposite of gray. It was unbelievable. But looking back now, it was a lot of fun. Steeler fan Rob, thanks, Rams, for taking out the Bills. Hey, our pleasure, Steeler fan Rob. Happy to help you out there. Michael Negretti, we need to get another kicker on the offseason. Again, that mixed extra point, that was a fumbled snap. That was Evans lost the snap on that. That one's not on Cardi at all. Just saying there, pal. Let's see. Tim Burns, Seattle game starting to look important, but they will still show the 49ers. They will still show the 49ers in no-cal. Oh, yeah. Of course they will. Yeah. But you'll get the Rams this week. You should on Thursday. You should get that. Manuel Vasquez, McVay's play calling was on point yesterday. He schooled the Bills, the good Bills defense. That is a good Bills defense. It is. And he did. And there's some things you just marvel at that you can't believe. One, you can't believe the catches, right? That Kupp and Nakua made. But that little hitch screen there, and I thought, cool, first down. Then the next thing it's touchdown. It's like they've got film. That was not a new play. That's not something we go, ooh, haven't done that before. But again, I think part of the issue was they had to commit extra help up in the box because they needed that help to stop the run game. And McVay kept pounding the ball. By the way, Kyren Williams cleared 1,000 yards again, 2 years in a row, over 1,000 yards. I think you got to go back to the days. I don't know. Oh, yeah. I think Gurley had back-to-back thousands. And then you got to go back to the days of Steven Jackson and Marshall Faulk. That happened. Tim Burns, to continue the James, I deem next game Rams 34, Winers 24. And I'm not going to argue with you on that one. If it helps, guys, I won't even pick a winner if you think it'll help the Rams. Tim Burns, McVay is 11-1 in December with Stafford. I like our chances. Ooh, good pull. That's a good pull, Mr. Burns. Where's my mug? I said we should run 44 times and we ran 42. Okay, mug on the way, Mr. Burns. Manuel Vasquez, the referee crew was the same one that screwed the Rams against Pittsburgh last year and the last game in Seattle in 2022. Stick it to those guys. There we go. Tim Burns, only maybe Mahomes wins that game over the Bills. Stafford is elite, and I will finally agree he's a top 10 quarterback ever. Thank you, Mr. Burns. You're going to get your mug now much more quickly. Tim Burns, Steeler fan Rob needs to go to the basement and tell TJ to mangle Barkley for us in the NFC. Oh boy. USA expat. I like the sound of the block Jackson did when he pulled outside to lay out their DB in the fourth quarter. It was awesome, right? It was awesome. USA expat. You called it early in the season, backing up the Rams keeping Tutu. Thank you so much. I got something right. Tim Burns, Rams need to get an aggressive offensive line protection because at 36, Stafford could have a 3 or 4 year run with Kupp, Nakua, and Kyron. I felt Shakir had 200 yards receiving yesterday. He burned us often. Yes, that was frustrating to watch. The offensive line had a good game, but Buffalo's front line, this is Manuel Vasquez, Buffalo's front is undersized. That's why they're vulnerable to the run. But the offensive line did what they were supposed to do against an undersized line, and it was great to see. But yes, again, you never know when that offensive line is going to show up. You hope everything got put together. I know you don't care, Joe T. This is Tim Burns, but even Eisen is calling for Verse to be defensive rookie of the year over DeJean. Yeah, I don't care, but cool. Manuel Vasquez, do you think Shula should have put a spy on Allen? I don't. I think you could have, but he's just a superior athlete, right? He's just a superior athlete. I don't know what they could have done there. Tim Burns, play calling for Scattaboo, running back from Sacramento State, now at Arizona State. Local boy is bowling ball, like 5'8", one of the best. Okay, so now we're talking college ball. Scattaboo does look good. Burrell Stouffer. Hey, thank you for clicking on, Burrell. I don't think I've met you before. Please hit like and subscribe. What a game it was for the Rams yesterday, baby. Big win. Can't wait for Thursday night. Hell yeah. Let's go Rams. Yes, let's go Rams. Let's keep that big focus because Thursday night matters. That is a playoff game. That is a playoff game. Tim Burns, that extra point was a flub for sure. Cardi is scary, but fine. We don't need another kicker. When he puts it through, he puts it through. You don't see that little, oh man, he's slipping it in. Generally, if it's not a miss outright, he puts it right through the uprights. Tim Burns, Manuel is right. It's the same crew that screwed us 2 times before. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you guys. I was pretty hot yesterday. All right, let's look at around the NFL and other places. Reminder, my name is Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years, and I worked at some papers. I was one of the founding guys at Mid-Valley Sports. Those guys are still in the room. They cover the Chargers, so they weren't happy last night. And I get to do the Rams thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law. And I write books. My books are on Amazon. I've written 8 books, and 3 of them are football novels, and 2 of them are high school. My most recent book is Game Day in the RamCave. I don't have a copy to show you, but it is available on Amazon, and it's done fairly well. If you've read it, please leave us a review. It doesn't have to be a 5-star review, but buy my books and our sponsors. That allows me to stay employed in my day job. And it is as a pastor of a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, and I'm right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual and BurbankFaithVirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual all across social media. And this is one of my books. This was the second football book I wrote. Probably my second, not bestseller like New York Times bestseller, but this might be my second best-selling book. The RamCave is coming up. But Temple City and the Company of the Ages, excuse me. And it's a football book. It's it's almost Christmas themed. It's a high school quarterback being visited by 3 ghosts. There you go. All right. Around the NFL and other places, let's start with other places. I've never heard a louder whine than what I heard coming from Alabama about being left out of the playoffs for college football. For me, it was about them less losing to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. It is more about having the gall or the nerve to play Mercer in November. I don't mind a patsy. I don't mind, USC playing Nevada Reno first week in September or in August. I wouldn't mind if Alabama played just that first tune-up game. Play your Mercer, right? But they played all those dogs with fleas, and now they're whining. Adios. Also, I did like the arguments I saw that people made that it said if Carson Beck is unable to play, then why isn't Georgia left out of the playoffs like Florida State was last year, right? I love that one. People were arguing that Oregon got shafted in the seedings and seeing their route, who they have to play. I think there's some truth to that. And I am openly rooting this postseason in college football, which is a cool thing to say, for any of the above. Mostly Boise State, but Indiana, SMU, Arizona State, just because I wanted to validate why we've needed this kind of a playoff for so long. And the truth is, it might not happen this year, but because of NIL and the money and everything that can be made, I think we're going to see what we would call the old school mid-majors kind of rise up a little bit, and we're going to see less control by the Georgias and Alabamas. The only teams I do not want to win, I do not want to see Georgia win, I don't want to see Ohio State win, and I don't want to see Notre Dame win, although I do like Marcus Freeman. I'm open to Tennessee, I'm open to Clemson, and I'm open to Oregon. Penn State, I'm indifferent, but I love the state of Pennsylvania, so we'll go from there. Only the Chiefs, on their third kicker of the season, can doink a field goal through the uprights to win the game and another division title. In Chicago, they had to be watching that and say, oh, sure, his go in, right? Only the Chiefs, right? I mean, the Chiefs are, I'm a sports karma guy. I'm not a spiritual karma guy, but I think in sports karma, if you're doing everything you should be doing, that you're doing it right, good things happen to you. And boy, the Chiefs are charmed right now, right? You know who the Chiefs lost to? Their only losses to Buffalo, in Buffalo, with all those injuries. And now they got Pacheco back, right? They got Kareem Hunt. They got Pegrine there. Maybe they get Hollywood Brown back. Chiefs are looking really interesting. Really, really interesting. And then finally here, the Cowboys put Zach Martin on the IR before the game tonight. I know you guys are getting ready to watch that. And the Ravens suspended Deontay Johnson, former Steeler. Steelers had two troubled wide receivers, Pickens and Deontay Johnson. They got rid of Deontay Johnson. And the Ravens, just after rescuing him from Carolina, Deontay Johnson refused to go in the game yesterday. And Harbaugh said, enough of that, dude. You're on suspension. I mean, what a brain-dead dude Deontay Johnson is. All right, coaches on the hot seat. Doug Peterson won. Gerard Mayo was off. And so I think the guy that's really on the hot seat is Brian Daboll, right? Absolutely on the hot seat. Okay, division leaders. Lions are 12-1. Eagles are 11-2. Seahawks are 8-5. Tampa Bay is 7-6, and now in first place. Remember, they're 4-6. They've won 3 in a row. Then you got the Vikings 11-2, Packers 9-4, Taxkins 8-5. They were on bye yesterday. When you're looking at the schedule here, it's interesting to see what's going on because you got the Rams, 49ers, then they get the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. Rams are actually in the 8th spot right now for the playoffs. That means they're only one game behind the Taxkins. Taxkins get New Orleans, who've won 3 out of 4 with their new head coach. Then they get Philly, and then they get the Falcons and the Cowboys. But I could see possibly 2 losses there, possibly 2. And if the Rams can beat the 49ers and Cardinals, then maybe we slip into that last wild card spot. This win against Buffalo changed the whole dynamic. There is some life in that wild card, 7th wild card spot, but what we really want is that division win, for the so-called home game we might get. And so, yeah, Cardinals 6-7. They get the Patriots this week. Then they get the Panthers. Then they get the Rams and 49ers. So they got a chance to regroup. 49ers are in trouble because if they lose to the Rams, they got to face the Dolphins, the Lions, and then the Cardinals, who they've already lost to, and they got to go to Arizona. So this is the last gasp, I think, for the 49ers. Just stuff to think about. AFC, Chiefs 12-1, Bills 10-3, Steelers 10-3, Texans 8-5. They were on bye. Chargers fall to 8-5. Ravens are 8-5. Broncos are 8-5. Colts are 6-7. They have the Broncos, they have the Titans, the Giants, and the Jaguars. If they can get by the Broncos, Colts have a possibility to go 9-8, 10-7. And, of course, the Dolphins 6-7. They've got the Texans, 49ers, Browns, and Jets, and they have a shot. So they're in really, really good shape. Wrapping up here on the college football playoff, Tennessee is at Ohio State on December 21st. Clemson is at Texas on December 21st. On December 20th, Indiana's at Notre Dame. SMU is at Penn State. All right. Kobe Durant, injuries for the Rams. Kobe Durant, lung contusion. Demarcus Robinson, sprained shoulder. Send his bill to the officials in the NFL. All right. Let's see. Onimi Vanghassam. Thank you, Lord. I found the right channel. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to hit subscribe. Counterfeit Clone, good to hear from you, man. Haven't heard from you for a while. The penalty on Robinson catch was insane. Anything worse, right? I mean, they called that, but on the touchdown, was it Johnson scored on that swing pass, that screen pass? Did you see the blocks? Well, the questionable, you could have called blocks in the back. That's how, it's just amazing they called that. Or they didn't call those, but they got Demarcus Robinson for what? For what? It was egregious. It was terrible. Vong Saham. Okay, thank you. Me and my wife receive a vision, a revelation from God about Cooper Kupp with 2 Super Bowl championship rings. Cooper Kupp, pray to God for another Super Bowl championship and God honor what he asked. Okay, I'll take that one. I got a good connection with the Almighty. I don't have a connection with him at that level, because generally I get rejected when I've done that. So maybe you got a better connection than I do. Awesome. Thank you. Steve Ramirez, I'm rooting for Notre Dame for obvious reasons. Hey, I'm not rooting for Notre Dame, but I like Marcus Freeman, right? So I'm not going to break things or be really upset. I'm not rooting for him, but you know what I mean. Okay, thanks, Steve. Vong Saham again. God's will is done. The Rams will win Super Bowl 59. It will come to pass. Okay, all right. There we go. Okay, there we go. I hope so. Rams, Manuel Vasquez, Rams 31, San Francisco 23. Okay, here we go. Looking at this week, I was 9-3. If the Bengals win tonight, I'll be 10-3 this week. Jets, Jets lost the Brandon Marshall Bowl. Dolphins won that game. I can't believe Dolphins horsed around and made that game go to OT. Maybe hopefully that's the last gasp for the Jets. I don't want them excited when they play the Rams. The Vikings won the Bob Berry Bowl 42-21. And I think the Vikings have to find a way to keep Sam Darnold. And I think Sam Darnold, no matter J.J. McCarthy's recovery or status, should give them a hometown deal because Darnold's bounced around enough. He's played for enough bad teams. He wants success in the NFL. He should. Darnold needs the Vikings as much as the Vikings need him right now while they're in this window. They are in a window here. And I can't imagine letting Darnold walk out the door when they're in this window and saying, to the veterans, by the way, guys, we're going with the kid. I like A.J. McCarthy, but next year is going to be his rookie year, right? He missed this year. He's going to be out of football now for over a year, and then you're going to come back and hope to get to this level where Darnold's already got you at this level. These teams need to come to agreement because they need Team Darnold and Team Minnesota. They need to do that. As a Rams fan, I'd like to see Darnold move on because I don't want to have to deal with the Vikings anymore in the future. Saints beat the Giants in the Tony Galbraith Bowl. Brian Daboll is walking the green mile. Okay. Eagles beat the Panthers in the Rodney Peete Bowl. Does anyone trust Philly? Because I really don't trust them 100%. They got up for the Rams, but they've struggled against Carolina, New Orleans, and Cleveland. You never know who's going to show up sometimes, and they are Saquon dependent, and that passing game has some issues. Browns Steelers in the Lynn Dawson Bowl. The market for Jameis Winston is Cleveland. He needs to stay there. No one else is going to offer him much. Russell Wilson makes the Steelers viable, but they have a nightmare schedule the next 3 weeks. And I know Steeler fan Rob notices that too because he wrote me today. Steelers have the Eagles this week, Ravens next week, Chiefs the week after that, and then the Bengals because it's a division opponent. It's Joe Burrow if he's still healthy. That's a tough way to close the season for Pittsburgh. That's a real tough run to close it. Can they do it? I think they can do it. They wouldn't have done that with Justin Fields, but with Russell Wilson, they have a shot. Buccaneers, Raiders in the Warren Sapp Bowl. Aiden O'Connell gets blown out. Bucks have won 3 in a row. They're on a streak. Titans, Jaguars, the Blaine Gabbert Bowl. Jacksonville won. Best comment I heard all week came from Steve Hartman on Fox Sports. He says, Jags, Titans. This is allegedly an NFL game. We'll leave it at that. Seahawks at the Cardinals, EJ Junior Bowl. Geno's playing well with good receivers. Zach Charbonnet stepped in, had a great game yesterday. And Kyler Murray is returning to who everyone knew who Kyler Murray was, right? He rides high, and then he just shrugs and sulks. And yeah, so keep beating them down. Cardinals get the Patriots this week and this coming week. And that's the one that's going to be really interesting to see how the Cardinals handle it. They get the Patriots and the Panthers. So they can right this ship, but then they have to close out against the Rams and 49ers. That was a devastating loss for them yesterday. All right, let's see where we go from here. Bills, Rams, we talked about that. The Rams won the James Harris Bowl. And the Bears, 49ers in the Dave Williams Bowl, San Francisco. The win was expected, but like always, who was hurt? Isaac Guerrero is hurt. Their third string left guard is hurt. Yeah, you name it. There's always Nick Bosa didn't play. Trent Williams didn't play. Now, maybe those guys come back for the Rams and they were holding off. Yeah. The 6-7 49ers, there's always somebody hurt. And then last night, Chargers, Chiefs, the Donnie Edwards Bowl. Harbaugh always is going to give his team a shot, but the Bolts are still the Bolts. And that Spanos family mojo is still strong, that even a doinked field goal goes through the uprights to beat them. It's unbelievable. Chargers remind me of Texas. Texas is a team that you want to believe in them. You like everything they got, but when it really matters, they don't show up or they can't win. And the Harbaughs and the Chargers just couldn't close that deal last night. So anyway, there we go. Let's see if we got some other thoughts there. Manuel Vasquez, okay, we got you taking the Rams 31-23. Michael Negretti, what did I miss, Pastor Joe? Great show as always. Praise Jesus. Just talking about how great the Rams were yesterday, that offensive line, how great Nakua and Kupp are. Tom Brady did a great job calling that game and pointing out all the little things that a guy like Cooper Kupp does. Stafford's elite. Josh Allen is out of this world. We talked about those things. That the great special teams play. You had 3 special teams that happened yesterday. One, Cardi did not miss that kick. That was a bad snap, and he did the best he could with it. It's not on him. The blocked punt was great for a touchdown. All praise to those guys. But the one that was the key was Ethan Evans kicked a masterpiece. And then we talked about Tutu Atwell, 4th and 5, Kyron Williams, Puka Nakua, Cooper Kupp, and Stafford goes to Tutu Atwell because he believes in Tutu Atwell, right? There we go. Steve Ramirez, the Vikings have had this decision before. Case Keenum took them to the NFC title game, and they moved on and went with Cousins. I remember that. I think Case Keenum was an easy move off, though. I mean, maybe not for them. As someone on the outside looking in, it was an easy move off. And I remember that. But don't you think the Vikings should really keep Sam Darnold at this point? McCarthy needs a year to get healthy, needs a year to work out the business. Give Darnold a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option or something. I don't know. Make it work, right? All right. I think we got our stuff in. Stone Groove, my man. It is a Stone Groove. Okay, real quick here. Born on this day in 1938. This guy's 6'5", 272, a 14th round pick, number 186 overall in 1961 out of Mississippi Valley State. Anyone out there besides Steve Ramirez know who that is? Deacon Jones was born on this date. He passed away several years ago, but Deacon Jones would be 86 if he were still alive today. That size, that speed, everything he had. I read his book, Head Slap, which is a great read. Talks about everything he did to work out and stay relevant. 11 years with the Rams, 61 through 71. He's a guy, and I'll let someone who watched the Rams in the 60s, I picked him up in 72, 73. But you look at him, you look at the highlights. This is a guy that translates really well into our era. In his 11 seasons, in those seasons with the Rams, he had 3 seasons over 20 sacks, 6 seasons over 15 sacks. In his career, he had 8 seasons in double-digit sacks, right? I mean, that's just unbelievable what he went on. Of course, the sack wasn't an actual stat until 1982. So the NFL Films did a lot of good stuff. They went back and they awarded those sacks just so you can get a better perspective of these guys when they played. And I definitely think someone like Deacon Jones is somebody that translates to our era. He does. He has athleticism and everything. He would easily translate, and he could probably do it without the head slap. All right. Good. So there we go. And then, not much, but tomorrow is the 33rd anniversary. It's no big deal. It's just because I like this player when he played at USC. He was a fullback at USC. He blocked for Ricky Bell. He blocked for Charles White. He had a nice career at USC as a fullback. His name was Mosi Tatupu. He ended up have a long career with the Patriots, special teams player, fullback. Rams picked him up, played for John Robinson a little bit in the early 90s there, and the Rams waived Mosi Tatupu on tomorrow, December 10th, 1991. That was pretty much the end of his career. But I wanted to give a little shout out to Mosi Tatupu there. All right, cool. Got 45 minutes left, and everyone's gone to watch the games. And Michael Negretti, they need to go to Tutu more. Absolutely. Onne Vong. I'm the way and the truth and the life, and nobody comes to the Father through me. Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. Steve Ramirez. Deacon says he had 28 sacks in 1967, including the playoffs. Hey, if Deacon says so, then I'm okay. You could argue with Deacon, right? I want to argue with Deacon. What did he do with the light beer commercial? Red is a violet and blue is a rose. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to break your nose. Is that what he said? I think that's what he said. All right, guys. I think we got it in. What a great time to be with you guys. Thanks for everybody clicking on. Thank you, Joe, for acknowledging my comments. But it's not just that it's our testimony. It's the mighty name of Jesus. Hey, no problem there, man. I'm right there with you. All right, guys. We got to go. I got dinner to eat. And we got a football game to watch. We'll see you on Friday. Go get your poop to shelves. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. Check us out on Spotify from the RamCave.